Hi, welcome to Being Mindful. I'm Susan, and I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I lead virtual group meditations, and in today's meditation, we visited a practice called intentional mind wandering. And in this meditation, what we're doing is allowing our thoughts to be the focus of meditation. This can be helpful because a lot of times we think of meditation as a practice where we're getting rid of thoughts, which isn't necessarily true because, of course, thoughts are going to come up. So, in a lot of meditations, we're focusing on some particular sensation or phenomenon, and we're noticing when the mind wanders and bringing it back, noticing when the mind wanders, bringing it back. In this meditation, we're actually allowing the mind to wander and noticing that. And so I start the meditation with a little bit of teaching, and then we get into a meditative practice. And of course, at the end, there's an opportunity for reflection. Let's get started. So, the idea here is that we are learning to work with our thoughts. So, in mindfulness meditation, a lot of what we're doing is building this skill to have a little bit of distance between the phenomena that upset us or distract us or keep us from doing what we're trying to do and ourselves. So we're learning to understand that there's a part of us that does things, and there's a part of us that can observe or be aware of doing those things. And part of what gets us tripped up, I think, is that if we're not aware of that difference, if we're not building that skill to be able to observe something as it's happening, we get so caught up in the doing of it that we don't do it effectively, or we kind of get carried away. And so we're not fully present with the life that we're trying to live. And so a lot of times with mindfulness meditation, we're doing something like breathing and noticing the sensation of the breath. So there's the part of us that breathes, and there's the part of us that observes the breath. And when we can create that little bit of distance, that little bit of perspective, it can make things that are stressful, it doesn't reduce the stress, but it maybe makes the impact of those things less. It reduces the impact of them. So a lot of times when we're trying to meditate, we're focusing on some aspect of physical sensation, some focus point, and of course the mind wanders. And we build that skill of noticing that it wandered and bringing it back. In this meditation, the thoughts are the focus, but we're not going to get carried away with them. I like to use metaphors in meditations, and the one that came up for me as I was practicing this intentional mind wandering is the idea of sitting in a movie theater and that the thoughts are up on the screen. So that creates a little bit of distance, right, between you and the thoughts, and that you're just watching what's happening on the screen. And the scenes may change. They might be short stories, it might be a whole movie, but you become aware of watching the thoughts. So if that's a helpful metaphor, feel free to use that. And so what I'll do is bring us into meditation and invite us to a time of mindfulness. And I will just every now and then use some sort of a phrase or guidance so that if you have jumped into the movie screen and joined the thoughts and gotten carried away, it'll be a cue for you to come back. And of course, I'll watch the time for us. So I'll invite you to move in whatever way would be helpful, comfortable, a little reward before meditation. And you can close your eyes if that is comfortable for you, but it's fine to have a light gaze on the floor. Most of us are likely sitting, so having both feet on the floor and just settling into the chair as you would in a movie theater. Allow yourself to recline just a little bit, but not overly much that you fall asleep. And as always, we can notice the sensations of sitting in a chair or lying on the floor, whatever posture you have chosen for today. And as we settle into our seats, the movie begins to play. And we allow ourselves this time to let the mind wander. To create some space for creativity, remembering, planning, or problem solving, whatever the mind wants to do. We let the film roll and we watch it. We don't become one of the characters. We don't live in the movie. We just sit in our seats eating our popcorn. If thoughts aren't flowing yet, just wait. They'll come. We don't have to do anything right now. There's nothing to accomplish. We're just letting the mind play and noticing where it goes. We can occasionally shift our focus from the screen and drop into our bodies and notice if there's anything happening. Notice any emotional reactions or physical sensations that come up in response to what the mind is thinking. And then come back to watching the thoughts again. Sometimes it can be helpful to find a single word to categorize or label or note what the thought is about. All thoughts are fair game. There aren't any thoughts we shouldn't be having. They're just thoughts, words, images. We can hold these thoughts lightly, not clinging to any particular thought, being curious about what's going to come next. Noticing whether thoughts are fleeting and come and go, or whether there's an extended thought that we tend to stick with and explore in more depth. It's all okay. And as the credits begin to roll, we can come back into our bodies, sitting in the chair, allowing ourselves to notice sounds and sensations, beginning to wiggle fingers and toes. And if the eyes have been closed, we can begin to open them, lift the gaze, take in our surroundings, and prepare to reflect. As we take a few moments to reflect on our experience before we get back to whatever it is that occupies our time these days, I would invite you to spend a few moments noticing what came up for you, what was helpful, what was a challenge, and maybe share some of that in the comments if you would. If you're not already subscribed, I hope that you'll take a moment to do that so that you can join me for future meditations. And if you found this meditation helpful, a thumbs up is a great compliment. At the end, I'll share some additional meditations that you might find helpful. Thanks so much and have a great day.